I never thought I would actually leave her. I had said it in anger before, the usual empty threats that faded by morning. But that night, when Anna rolled her eyes as I tried to talk about how distant she had become, something inside me finally broke. Not in rage, but in exhaustion. She said, "Maybe you should just take a break if you're so unhappy." And I answered quietly, "Maybe I will." She didn't believe me, so I decided to give her exactly what she asked for. A 7-day trial of life without me. No arguments, no warnings, no long speeches, just absence. The next morning, I woke up early, packed a small bag, left my wedding ring on the counter, and wrote a note. "This is your week to live without me. No calls, no texts. Day one starts now." Then I left. The first few hours felt unreal. I checked my phone again and again, expecting a message, a call, something, but nothing came. She was probably at work, thinking I'd cool off and return by evening. That was always her way. Ignore the storm and wait for it to pass. By afternoon, I was driving toward a small cabin I had rented 2 towns away. A quiet place surrounded by tall pine trees. No TV, no distractions, just stillness. The moment I stepped inside, I realized how unfamiliar that silence felt. Our home had always been loud. The television playing, her talking on speakerphone, something constantly buzzing. But this silence was different. It was calm. Meanwhile, I imagined her finding the note. Maybe she would smirk. Maybe roll her eyes. Maybe call her sister and laugh about it. I could hear her saying, "He's being dramatic again." Still, part of me hoped that by evening she would feel the emptiness, the missing coffee mug I always filled, the way I checked the locks at night, the soft goodnight whispered in the dark. That night I cooked dinner for myself. Nothing special, just pasta and a beer. And I realized how long it had been since I'd eaten without tension, without her staring at her phone, without feeling like a stranger in my own kitchen. When I went to bed, my phone was still silent. I turned it face down. I wasn't angry, just hollow. Day one was ending, and the quiet felt both freeing and frightening. Around midnight, my phone buzzed. My heart jumped. I grabbed it, expecting her name. It was my brother. "Hey man, you okay?" Anna called, said you left. I let out a slow breath. So she noticed, but not enough to call me herself. "She'll be fine," I said. "It's just a week." He paused. "You sure you're not taking this too far?" "I'm sure." After hanging up, I stared at the ceiling for a long time, wondering if this was punishment or freedom, maybe both. I thought about the woman Anna used to be, the one who danced barefoot in the kitchen and laughed until she cried. Somewhere along the way, she disappeared, replaced by someone distant and cold. Maybe I had changed too. Maybe we both had. But lately, I felt like a ghost living in a house that no longer felt like home. Day one taught me something I hadn't known before. Peace feels strange when you've lived too long in chaos. The next morning, I made coffee and sat on the porch, breathing in the scent of pine. The sky was soft and gray. I checked my phone. Still nothing. Then, around 9, a text appeared. "So this is you trying to prove a point. Real mature." I stared at the screen. She didn't ask where I was or if I was okay. Just blame. I didn't respond. By noon, another message came. "You can't just disappear. You have responsibilities." And that's when it hit me. She didn't miss me. She missed what I did. The chores, the routines, the stability I provided. Not me. That realization hurt more than I expected. I closed my phone, walked down to the lake, and sat quietly, letting the calm sink in. Maybe this wasn't about teaching her anything. Maybe it was about finally learning something myself. Day one wasn't about her seeing what she could lose. It was about me seeing what I already had. Day two began with an unexpected calm. I woke before sunrise, made coffee, and watched the mist drift across the lake. My phone sat beside me. I didn't touch it right away. For the first time in years, I didn't feel that nervous urge to check on her moods, her messages, or what kind of day I was walking into. By afternoon, I finally looked. 3 texts. Can you at least tell me when you're coming back? This isn't funny anymore. Fine, enjoy your little experiment. Each one sharper than the last. None sounded like love. I put the phone down again. Somewhere between those messages, I realized something else. I hadn't thought about her voice all morning. Usually her tone echoed in my head. The sarcasm, the irritation, the sharp commands. But today there was only quiet, and that quiet felt like healing. On day 3, my brother messaged again. She called Mom. Says you've lost your mind. I laughed. A real laugh, the first in months. Tell Mom I'm fine, I said. Tell Anna I'm still on my trial week. He sighed. You think she'll change? I think I will. That night, I made a proper dinner. Steak, potatoes, a glass of red wine. I played old songs from when we were happy. The music didn't hurt anymore. It reminded me of who I was before I spent every day trying to fix something that didn't want fixing. On day 4, she finally called. I stared at the screen, debating. Then I let it ring. A voicemail followed. Her voice shook slightly. If this is supposed to make me feel bad, congrats, I do. But you don't get to run away whenever things get hard. We can talk when you're done acting like a child. There it was again. Control dressed up as concern. She still didn't understand. I deleted the message and walked along a forest trail near the cabin. The trees whispered in the breeze. I realized I hadn't taken a walk just to think in years. All the things I once loved, reading, music, cooking, slowly disappeared while I focused on managing her emotions. By day 5, the texts began to change. I can't sleep without you. You've made your point. Please come home. I miss you. That message stopped me. Not because I fully believed it, but because it was the first time she had said those words in months. Still, I waited. I needed to know whether she missed me or only the version of me who held everything together. So I stayed one more night. Moonlight poured through the cabin window, and I thought about how strange it was that distance can reveal more truth than closeness ever does. On day 6, I drove into town to buy groceries. While I waited at a red light, a car just like hers passed by. For a moment, I felt a sudden rush of emotion. Fear. Or maybe nostalgia. I wasn't sure. But then I realized something important. I wasn't afraid of losing her anymore. I was afraid of returning to a life where I felt invisible. That evening she called again. This time I answered. Her voice was gentle. Ethan, please. I understand now. I really do. I've been thinking a lot. You're right. I took you for granted. The silence between us felt long and heavy. I don't want to fight, I said, but I also don't want to come back to the same life. I'll try, she said quickly. I promise. I wanted to believe her, but something in her voice felt too smooth, too familiar, like words she'd practiced before. All right, I said. Let's see what day 7 brings. When the final morning arrived, I packed my bag. The week had felt long, yet it had done what no argument ever could. It cleared away the illusions. Before heading home, I stopped by the lake one last time. My reflection in the water looked calmer, older, maybe even wiser. When I finally walked into the house, Anna was sitting on the couch, her eyes red from crying. As soon as she saw me, she stood up. I didn't think you would really stay away, she said softly. I nodded. Neither did I. For a long moment, we just stood there. The silence wasn't angry this time. It was heavy and unsure. She reached for my hand, and for a second I let her hold it. But it felt different, like touching someone who used to know me but didn't anymore. I want to fix everything, she said. Whatever it takes. I believe you want to, I replied gently. But wanting something and changing for it are not the same. Her eyes filled with tears, but I didn't step closer. Some spaces aren't meant to be closed completely. That night, I slept in the guest room. When I woke up the next morning, she had already left for work. A note rested on the kitchen counter, in the same place where I had left mine a week earlier. I understand now. I'm sorry. I smiled softly. Maybe she truly did. Or maybe she had simply learned that silence can speak louder than shouting ever could. The 7-day trial was over. But for me, the outcome was clear. I had spent years trying to prove my value to someone who never fully saw it. It took 7 days apart to remember who I was before I lost myself trying to be enough. Sometimes love doesn't end with betrayal. It slowly fades with neglect. And once silence feels peaceful, you stop craving the noise that once broke you.